ばんは。私はデイビー・ボーイ・スミス・ジュニア、プロレス。今日は寿司を作ります。マグロとイクラとロブスターのロール。始めましょう! So I'm Davey Boy Smith Jr. I'm a pro wrestler from Japan, and today we're going to be making some sushi. And I hope you guys are ready for a party in the mouth, because I certainly am. I love Japanese culture, and mostly I love Japanese sushi. Alright, ikimashou! Tanoshimi.
So Harry, what are you making here today?
Yeah, so I'm going to be making some maguro tuna, ikura, and lobster rolls. And I also have some imitation crab and ebi, which is shrimp, nigiri. So yeah, looking forward to it, and I hope everybody enjoys it today.
With the saran wrap over that, what does that do?
Yeah, so this is, in Japanese, it's called a makisu, and it's a bamboo roller. So during COVID-19, I had a really boring time, you know. So I needed something to occupy my time with. So I decided to take up sushi, and then I learned a lot of stuff about how to make it and what's the best product to use for the makisu and everything. So I learned after quite a few times that these saran wraps, like the plastic wrap here and this one here, they're not good for the makisu. They're shopai in Japanese, which is not good. So what you really need if you're serious about making sushi is to get a sunset food service film, and you can get that like at the restaurant depot. Preferably you want to get a 12 or 18 inch by 2000, because that way it covers it all in one, but you have to do it a couple times over. And then also I've seen people use like a flat plastic sheet, like with a Ziploc bag. That doesn't work for a makisu so well, because there's a lot of air that gets trapped in. So even though this makisu isn't perfect, it's still better than, you know, using a Ziploc bag. So I will go here. I'll show you basically how to make the sushi rice, which was the most difficult thing for me. For sushi rice, for example, it's really easy. Well, not easy, but once you get the formula down. You do 1 cup of rice here, you put it in. I've already made the sushi rice, but this is just for learning purposes. So you want to wash the rice out about 3-4 times. And you want to be careful too, because when you're washing the rice, you don't want to be scrunching it up. You want the rice to have a good molecular form, I guess you could say. So anytime when you're like crunching it, it messes up its form, so it won't be able to stick together as well. So you just want to gently, and what we're doing is we're washing out the starch here. So as we do it more and more, the water becomes more clear. And the more clear that it becomes, like if this is just 1 cup of rice, you maybe only need to wash this out 3 times.
So how
or
long,
sankai in Japanese, 3 times.
How long did it take for you to perfect the sushi rice?
Well, it took me a long time, because I had to teach myself from YouTube, and there's a lot of different people that have different opinions. And I believe firmly that like the air here in Florida is different. So I think that the moisture has, like sometimes if it's more of a rainy day or cloudy day, it has an effect on making the sushi rice. But there's no real, so for sushi rice, really easy example is once we've washed that out. So 1 cup of sushi rice is going to be 1 cup of water. Now, just like that. And if you want to get one of these nice sushi rice cookers, you just go ping. The issue that I had with the sushi rice is that a lot of people, they have different opinions on how to make it. So they say you got to soak the water for about 25 minutes with the rice, but that doesn't really matter for sushi rice. If you're going to make rice like if you're going to have it with bulgogi or just like traditional Japanese white rice, then I would say soak it for about 25 minutes like on its own and then put it in. And in that situation, I would go more of like 1.1 or 1.25, like 1.25 water to the sushi rice, which is one cup. So after it was done, what we do is you want to go about a quarter ratio. So if I got 4 cups of rice here, I'm going to go about 1 cup of sushi vinegar. And I've done already in quite a, like over half, I'd say. So what you do is you rinse it, and then you want to, there's people that like to, they like to cut the rice. I prefer, like from what I've been learning, is to just kind of flip it over. But there are sushi chefs they swear by going, like cutting it through it. And that's fine too, but what you really want to have is the sushi vinegar evenly distributed throughout all the rice. You don't want to have a whole bunch of the vinegar here and then none of it here, because the vinegar gives it a sour taste if it's you know, too much of it in one spot. So that's what we've done. And then in between each one, what I do is I go like this, and I pour it, and I just like kind of, so it just goes kind of evenly, so it drips down. Then what I do is I go here, just mix it up. And again, you want to be careful with the rice. You don't want to be like smashing it down too much. You want to keep its form good, because it won't stick together. And I'm not perfect at making sushi rice, but I will say this: practice does make perfect, and you got to experiment a lot, make mistakes.
And the wood is the best for it to form the rice
Yeah.
in, and it's just the overall the best.
Yeah, I mean you could use whatever you wanted, but you know, it seems to absorb the moisture. And it's traditional Japanese. Then after that, after each session of putting in the sushi rice vinegar, you want to cool down the rice. So if traditionally you'll have a fan. I mean, if you had an electric fan, that would work too. But the traditional style is to fan it down. Cool the rice down, because if you have the rice and it's not cool enough, when you go to put it on the nori, that's the seaweed mats, what happens is that the heat from the rice, it kind of breaks apart the nori, and it's not able to hold the rolls. You know what I'm saying?
Now, where did your love of sushi making come from? Where did that stem from?
Well, you know, I really love Japanese culture. When I was younger, my father, you know, Davey, he introduced me to sushi at a young age, when sushi wasn't that popular, like in, say, 1992 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And there weren't that many sushi restaurants around, actually. Bragging as a kid, I was telling, you know, the kids in the classroom, like, oh, I was eating raw fish last night. And they're like, ew, that's gross. You must have gotten sick. Was the fish still alive? And I thought I was pretty cool. So, but I always loved sushi ever since then. And when my mother, when she was expecting me, she said that she had sushi a lot in her diet. So there's probably something there.
And then,
So, yeah,
what made you, because you could easily just go to a restaurant and get this, but you've, perfected making this.
Yep.
And learning.
Well, it was something I've always wanted to do, to learn how to make, but, you know, during COVID-19, in a good way, it gave me the time to learn and experiment and, you know, make mistakes and play around in the kitchen and make sushi, because COVID-19 was and still is, in Japanese they call it sumaranai, which is boring, such a boring time, you know. So in order to occupy my time better, I decided to take up sushi. And then I spoke to a gentleman named Hiroyuki Terada, Mr. Terada-san, and he's from Miami, and he has a Japanese sushi YouTube channel called Diaries of a Master Sushi Chef. And he's been helpful, and he's given me tips via Instagram. And we've been talking about me going out to Miami sometime soon and hooking up and making a bulldog roll, you know.
That would be amazing. Now, people want to know, what is your favorite sushi to eat?
Preferably a good salmon nigiri, like a really fresh and cold. That's one of my favorites. See, I've got my best thing that I've been able to make are the cones, and I like it because you can. It's kind of anything goes, right? So those, and also I really like the ikura, which is the salmon roll. That's, and then the Japanese special scallop roll, but that's really difficult to make and it's hard to get.
Now people want to know, are you going to open up a restaurant?
Hey, we shall see.
Okay, now that once you've kind of put that down like that,
yeah.
Now what's the next step?
Okay, so I like to have a little bit of like a bowl of water here, and I put a little bit of like vinegar inside of it. What the vinegar does, it just basically, like if I was going to dip my knife or something into it, it just helps clean up the knife. Okay, so
Gotcha.
we've done this quite a few times now. So here, and it's of a preference. Some people like to once the sushi's done, they like to cover it with like a cold, wet towel, or like a damp one, just to keep the moisture. But that's more like if we're going to be here all day, you know.
Gotcha.
So hopefully we won't be here all day, but because we want to eat this, right?
We do want to eat this.
Yeah.
So besides sushi, what's another Japanese good meal you make?
Oh, shoot. Chanko nabe, which is a sumo hot pot. Sukiyaki beef. Shabu shabu. I've experimented with ramen a little bit, but it's not. So also, when you're making sushi, what I've found from a friend of mine that he works at a restaurant is it's better to use gloves because they, like really good sushi chefs, they know exactly. They'll put a little bit of water on their hands to damp them, just so the rice won't stick, and then they'll put it and they'll start working on it. But the thing is, they're so good at it where they know literally the exact amount of water to put, like just to keep your hands with moisture. So the easiest way or most efficient way is you put on some of these gloves, so the rice doesn't stick as much to the gloves, you see. So then after my gloves are on, what I do is I put it on like a little cooking spray, and that just, or a little bit of cooking oil. So we're here. Oops. So you don't need a whole lot, just. I like to keep a nice, like a wet, damp cloth with a little bit of vinegar on here, and that helps me when I'm using with my knife. Now I don't have a proper professional sushi knife quite yet, but I wanted to work on the basics first and then get to know how to do that before getting a expensive sharp knife, because those are, you don't want to mess around. So here's a cucumber. So we use a cucumber. So pretty much like what I like to do. So this would be like a half sheet of nori.
Gotcha.
So what I like to try and envision when I'm cutting for my cucumber is I'll cut here, and the straighter the straighter the cucumber, the better. So here. So I like to just kind of like eye it up. So let's say that's the length of the nori mat. So I like to eye that up, and then I'll cut this off here. Like that. I'm not too picky on like it being exactly straight or anything like that. I just like it to be thin enough so it fits. And one thing that's really important, Georgia, that I've found with making sushi is adding cucumber to these rolls, because it's a harder vegetable, so it kind of helps keep everything not erect but straight. Whereas if you only have like avocado inside of your roll, when you go to, I mean, when you're a really good sushi chef, it's not an issue, but it kind of starts to like mash down.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I add almost cucumber to all my rolls.
Because it gets too soft.
Yes. So you want to have something in there that's keeping it, you know, straight. I'll make thinner cucumber slices. I'll make thicker ones, like if it's going to be a cone with that's a little smaller, I'll use like a thinner piece of the cucumber. If I'm going to make like a just like cucumber and avocado, I'm going to make like probably something that's bigger like this.
So besides sushi making, what else have you been doing to keep your mind and body occupied during COVID?
Well, I've been doing a lot of training. I've been training at the American Top Team gym with Mahmoud Goma, who was a part of the Olympic team for wrestling in Egypt. And he's also a gymnast too, so it's been awesome getting to work with him and doing privates. And I came out of COVID-19 with really good shape. And despite the gyms being closed, you know, we had a smaller group of guys we were all pretty safe with each other. And yeah, I mean, been smoking it at the gym. So this is a nori. So basically, with most rolls, what's going to happen is there's a flat side, there's a smooth side, and then there's a rough side. So the rough side is where you want to put the sushi or the rice, and then on the outside it's smooth, so it kind of holds everything together and in place. So here's some avocados. Hopefully they are accountable and ripe. So what I do is, it's real easy. I like to go here, just cut down to get it off, and then I cut like almost like in between. I just like to follow.
So you've also been learning how to speak Japanese.
Yes, hi.
So what's easier, learning how to speak Japanese or making sushi?
Probably learning how to speak Japanese has been easier. Yeah, well, you know, because I've always had a pretty good idea of how to speak Japanese, but learning the alphabets have been the hardest part, because Japanese has got 3 alphabets: kanji, katakana, and hiragana. So I've gotten good. I can read and write hiragana and katakana both. And each one of those has 46 letters in each. And we got only 26 letters in our alphabet. And that's not including all the deck-tens and hand deck-tens that are in that. So, and then the kanji language was borrowed from, I guess sort of borrowed from the Chinese, I think during the 20th century. And those caricatures are just insane. There's like over 1,000. So yeah, so here's, this is a sushi grade tuna. Preferably, just to be safe, you always want to have sushi grade tuna if you're going to eat it raw. That's not to say that Publix doesn't have good tuna. It's just preferably if you can. And what you want to do is, since there's a little bit of moisture on there, I've already damped it down before, but you don't want it super wet. So what you want to do is you want to be here. I just want to damp it down a bit with the paper towel. Now, if you're cutting this for nigiri, what a lot of people will do is they'll cut again. You see the lines, like the fish, it's like the belly lines. So what they'll do is they'll cut across here, and they'll cut down, and then they'll cut across here. For the nigiri. Now, I'm not, since the sushi block is like this, I'm not really concerned about that. Like, I mean, I'll even just cut down here. And I mean, that can be a nigiri piece. It's not perfect, but it'll work. So if we were to do this, so we're gonna make some spicy tuna here. So I'm not like super picky on how it's cut. I just want all the pieces to be relatively small and like the same kind of size chunks, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Miss Kim from Kotobuki, she's got some great stuff. She's not messing around, that's for sure. Yeah, so when you are cutting, you want to be careful about, because sometimes you wind up with, if you're cutting into it, the lines, you get like these stringy pieces. So that's why you want to just avoid those and cut away from them, if that makes sense. And the more that you do that, the smaller the chunks can be and the better. So we're gonna make the spicy tuna here. So basically, we're gonna take all this tuna. And the nice thing about the gloves too is that you don't have to worry about, you know, I mean, they're clean, right? So now there's two options. You can either use this QP mayonnaise and then mix it with the sriracha, or you can buy the already made sriracha. It's really up to you. But if you were to do it, we could use a little bit of both actually. When you're making the mayo, the spicy mayo, there's no rule or ratio that you need to live by in comparison with the sriracha and the spicy mayo. If you want it more spicy, just add more of the sriracha. If you don't want to, that's fine too. So you just do it like this. And then I like to try it a few times. So I got that going on. And you just mix it up. And I'll say, okay, I like it, but I want it to be a bit more, have a bit more texture. So I'm just gonna add some actual sriracha mayo. And if I have a taste of it, and if I want to make it more spicy, I'll make it more spicy, but I prefer it more spicy, to be honest with you. So now that that's made, so if you're wanting to go the really easy route, this is what you can do, is you can buy one of these from Amazon, or I mean at sometimes JCPenney or Walmart have them, but you have to order them in online. And this just keeps everything really easy. This is for sushi, for nigiri, for rolls, hand rolls. So basically what you do is you go here, I got my gloves. Put it in. As you can see, the rice sticks together nicely. So I think it's going to be a good batch. All right, so we put it in, and then we just squeeze it down, like so.
Makes it form.
Yeah, so it makes it form. I mean, you want to press down, but this is about as far as down as it presses, which is good. The more that you press sushi rice down, it kind of it ruins it a little bit. So you want it just to be firm. You don't want it to be crushed. You know what I'm saying? So there we go. What you could do is depending on your your taste, you just add a little bit of wasabi. Not too much, just a little bit, just spread it on. And this is shrimp, which in Japanese is ebi. So you just go like this, and then you just want to kind of fold it around. Shrimp nigiri, I would say that these are a little bit too big. Like you don't want, like say for instance, yeah, see, so you can see manufactured versus mine. So I'm getting better with it. Just this was an easy tool to use to start with. And of course, we got to be traditional with our Japanese. We got to have a little ginger on there too. So ginger is really good for cleaning out your palate. And why a lot of the Japanese added ginger to sushi from back like hundreds of years ago was because ginger kills bacteria. And if any of the sushi rice or the fish that they were getting was a little bit suspicious, every time that they would eat a piece, they would follow it up with a piece of ginger to kill any of the bacteria. So. Oishi?
They're really good.
Yeah, so just cutting the lobster tail here. When you're cutting these, just be really careful because the lobster is slippery and the shell is really like sharp, so just be aware.
Now,
So I cut my finger on it once and it was like felt like a really bad paper cut. It sucked.
What kind of lobster is this?
This is a tiger lobster tail, I believe.
And where did you get this tiger lobster?
I got it from Publix.
From
and
Publix.
These lobster tails are really, really amazing.
I thought it was from Miss Kim's for a second.
No, she's not into the lobster business, but it's into everything else. So we're just kind of breaking it apart. Then we're going to take the tail here. Oh, look at that! Just peeled right out.
Whoa, look at that. That's beautiful. Were you growing tomatoes?
Yeah, I've got tomatoes, got some basils out there. Tomato, basil, 2 tomatoes actually, basil and rosemary.
Rosemary.
Yeah. So those came out really nice. Look at that. Oof.
Now,
Lobster tail mohawks.
What are you going to make with this lobster tail?
I'm going to try to do some tempura lobster like we had last time. The only issue that I had was that I just had forgotten to get the tempura powder from Miss Kim, the batter. So I did get some from Publix, so I can't guarantee it's going to be up to her quality and standards, but... And it's not prevalent, or it doesn't... They don't have to completely stick, but it just helps keep them straight. You know what these taste like when they're done? Like a party in the mouth. Tastes like candy. Right? Day in, day out, we gotta make good sushi. Isn't that right, Georgia?
That is right. And I've had this tempura lobster, and it is amazing.
Yeah, you don't have to have a set amount. I just kind of dump it in. And this isn't traditional tempura powder or the base. I had accidentally forgot to pick up some. I was at Miss Kim's. But due to COVID, she's got restricted hours and she was closed for 4th of July, so wasn't able to go in, but that's okay. We'll just readjust.
It's smelling good.
It's smelling like a party. Okay. So we're gonna make a inside out roll. This is the nori mat I was telling you about earlier. And we're gonna cut this in half just for now and do it really basic. So like we said, shiny side's gonna be going down. I'm sorry, since it's an inside out roll, it doesn't matter because it's gonna be the rice is on the outside. But if we're making a typical normal roll, it'd be the shiny side on the outside. So we go like this. We can get a little bit of moisture on the fingers. So what we do is we kind of want to make it like almost like a hot dog shape. Don't want to mash it down too much. Then what we want to do is we want to almost bring it forward and bring it back. Bring it forward. You don't want to press it down too hard. You don't want to screw up the... You want it to be basically covering all of the mat here. And what you want to do at most is you want to avoid any moisture getting onto the nori mat. So if you get any water, it starts to mess it up. So you don't want to do that. And that's why, and especially when you're doing inside out rolls, it's important to have the saran wrap or the sunset wrap over top because the rice starts sticking onto the bamboo mat. So, say for instance, we got a couple of got our cucumber there, and you can pick it out and just kind of spread it out if you wanted, or you can spoon it on. I mean, it's not. Just want it to be kind of even. If you wanted to, you can add a little bit of cream cheese. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to move this back to the mat here. And we're just going to kind of bring this over. This is a little tricky. You want to bring it. You want to get this like at about 50%, and what you want to do is you want to bring, and the flat side's on top here, right? So you want to just bring it kind of like over here once, So it's going to be covered by the nori mat here. You can just press it down. You see that? And then you want to bring it over again. You want to almost kind of like, even though it looks round, you want to flatten it out so it's actually flat at the top here. All right, so here we go. We got the roll here. So we're just going to add some avocado slices on top. So you can cut it off here. Just kind of put it on top, form it a bit. The bigger the avocados, usually the better, but today Publix just didn't have the right ripe ones, so it was hard to get, you know, so. But we won't worry about that for now. All right, so we're making a hand cone here. We've cut the nori in half. We're gonna put like a baseball size, maybe smaller, pool ball size Gohan rice. You don't want to go too far to the right. You want to be right in the kind of the halfway. You can keep it in the middle if you wanted to, or you can make it kind of like almost like a triangle shape, because we're going to be flipping it onto this side, if that makes sense. Good. Okay, so we got the lobster tempura here, so we're just going to stick in a piece this way. And we're going to go with the avocado over here. So again, it's a cone, so the avocado doesn't have to be perfect because you're not looking at it. So we got that there. If you want, you can add a little bit of cream cheese, which is what I like to do. Helps kind of keep everything together. So at the bottom here, kind of this is where you would mash in the rice. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this corner and get it to flip all the way. Hand rolls can be kind of a little bit messy, but it's okay. All the way to the other side, and then you want to kind of make a circular. Some people like to do it just right in their hand, but since it's a bigger roll, it's a little bit harder to do. So just for cosmetic purposes, we'll clean her up a bit. And by the way, that I make these rolls bigger. Like this, that's the point. I don't want it to be, doesn't have to be neat and tidy. Like I want it to be big. You know, I'm a big guy, so. And then what I like to do is I like to top some, this is called ikura, right over here. It's a salmon roe egg. So what we do is we take this, almost like ice cream at the top, and just put it up there for a little bit of decoration or whatever. There we are. All right, guys, here making some sushi. I hope that you've been enjoying the video so far. This is my special Davey Boy Smith Jr. sushi cone. Some lobster tempura inside, topped up with a little bit of tobiko. Make sure that that soy sauce doesn't drip down. And I'm hungry. Onaka ga suite masu. Mmm.
Good?
Gorgo.
Okay.
Ichiban.
Thank you guys for watching.
Domo arigatou gozaimasu. Mata ne.